Welcome back to another episode of Let's Stay In.
I'm Anna, and this is Mark.
Now, before we get into today's episode, we got to give you that annoying reminder. Make sure you like, subscribe, download, comment. If there's a button, make sure you click it. Somehow, I think that helps us out.
With that being said, let's just jump right in.
Sarah, how we doing?
Doing well, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for coming on today.
So happy to be here.
Yeah, I know this is, I do want to give a trigger warning to everybody. We are going to be talking about some tough subjects today, so just a warning, we are potentially going to be talking about suicide, so I do want to give that trigger warning ahead of time, but yeah, Sarah, we appreciate you coming by today and getting to know you more and everything like that, so yeah, appreciate you.
Of course, I'm so excited. Thank you, guys.
I love how you're holding your Erewhon bottle it's like your security blanket.
I know, right?
Everyone has a safety blanket now with their water bottle. It's so funny.
Oh, mandatory.
Always spooning it.
Always. So, okay, Sarah, real quick, let's say you're a big gym person. Let's say you're working out at the gym. Somebody comes up to you. They're like, who are you? What's your story? Give like your 30-second elevator pitch. Who is Sarah?
Okay, I'm Sarah. I was born and raised in LA, which I feel like is a little bit more rare than anything. And I own and operate Airbnb properties with my dad, which is so much fun. It's been such a blessing, the freedom with your time and just interacting with the different guests and all of that. I love it. Really enjoy cooking, reading. I'm very kind of a homebody and have amazing people in my life, and I'm so grateful for it.
There we go.
What's your birthday?
September 14th.
Okay, so you're a Virgo.
I am.
How do you know the cutoffs of dates?
What do you mean? You just sense it.
Yeah, but like
Like
that's
she doesn't have Libra energy.
no, but that's so
She's a
close.
Virgo.
That's so close to Libra that I'm like, I just don't understand how
The cutoff is the 21st, I believe, for that.
I have no idea, but I just know I've met people in September that are Libra, so I'm like, it must be
Guilty as charged.
somewhere
I just know
in there.
these things.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah, fair.
I love my Virgos.
Fair, but yeah. So I mean, this is a tough subject to kind of breach here, but this is something that, you know, when we were chatting and kind of figuring out what subjects that you want to get into, you mentioned that your sister unfortunately had passed away by suicide about 9 years ago. And it's a subject that is not a fun one to get into, not a light subject by any means, but an important subject to get into because there are so many people that are affected by it every single day. Families that are affected by it, individuals that are affected by it, and the process of when you lose a loved one is a really tough process to figure out how do I begin to move forward. And so that was something that we wanted to really kind of chat with you about and kind of learn, I guess, more or less, whatever you'd be willing to share with us about your sister, and then from there, kind of how you began to, and I don't know how else to put that, but begin to move forward after dealing with something so tragic and unfortunate.
I think that it's one of those things that, no one wants to talk about it, and it's so important to talk about, and it's not an easy thing to talk about, especially as someone who has been affected by it so closely. But, Katie was an amazing sister, friend, daughter, person. And she was so altruistic and so kind and loving to everyone that she encountered. And I think what was so tragic and hard was that she was able to give so much love to everyone around her, but was unable to give that love to herself or to feel that love being poured into her from everyone around her. And, I think people end their own lives for a multitude of reasons, but with her case, she just was one of those sweet people. She was a twin with one of my other sisters. I have 3 sisters in total, so I'm the oldest. And Katie and Laura, they're twins, and they were just, they were born so early and in the hospital and had many surgeries and different wires attached to them when they eventually were able to come home. And all of that, just Katie was always a little bit I don't want to say off is not the right word, but she just had a hard time connecting with life. And she struggled with depression and suicidal ideation and suicidal, I guess, attempts for about 7 years before she actually passed. And so as a family, you know, all my sisters and I are very close in age. And so as a family, I think that something people don't talk about very often is how having someone that you love so deeply that you're living with and growing up with, who is also actively in a deep depression and actively taking measures to try to end their life, it just affects everyone so much. And you find yourself kind of trying to control the uncontrollable. And I think a huge theme for my life is to control the controllables. And I think even more so now that she's passed, that might be one of my defense mechanisms, is just really having a deep need for control in everything and an understanding. And so Katie was just, you know, just struggling, and we all were rallying around her. And, you know, there's so many beautiful resources out there today where you can really get the help and proper treatment, and you can really come out of it. And I want to highlight that to anyone that is struggling with depression or suicidal ideation. And, you know, there's absolutely a way out of it, and suicide is not at all the answer. And anything that feels like it's the end of the world right now, you know, can turn around. Like, nothing is unfuckable. And I don't know if I can say that word.
Say anything.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Nothing is so bad that the only option is to exit. But having said that, you know, she truly was almost too good for this world. And so we all kind of knew that this was coming. We use dark humor in my family to kind of get through. And you know what? I think that it can't be the only coping mechanism, but I think that when you're going through hard things, humor is a great way to kind of just keep your sanity. And so it's kind of like the next big earthquake with Katie. It's not if, it's when. And living in California, we know the earthquakes are coming. And so we were all just holding our breath and didn't know how to save her. And you spend 7 years, and these were really, you know, formative years from me and my sisters also, the other sisters, of, you know, always in the back of your head having this massive kind of anxiety or lump in your stomach of, where is Katie? Is Katie okay? And the little bits of reprieve were almost when she had been placed on 5150 hold. And when we knew she was safe because she was in the care of doctors. And kind of, you know, it's really hard to go through that and not feel like a terrible person for being almost frustrated with the person also, because it's really stressful to be worried that your sister or loved one is going to not make it. And
can you describe to our listeners what a 5150 is?
Sure. That is I guess it's a mandatory hold where, and there's a 5250 as well. It's a 24-hour hold for a psychiatric patient or someone who's a harm to themselves or others. And then a 5250 might be, and I have no idea if this is right or not, but I think that it's a 72-hour hold. So with that, to wrap it up a little bit, she did end up passing. She, it was hard. She wasn't, we couldn't locate her for 5-ish days. It's all kind of a blur. But she had gone missing, and at that point, we started to piece together whether or not, where she had been. She'd said she was going to a party the night before, and then the next morning, we were like, oh, she probably just had a few drinks and, was out with her friends. Let's give her some time. And then when she didn't show up for work, we were kind of like, where is she? And then slowly it all kind of came to light after, chatting with her friends and trying to track her location that something serious had happened. And so, through that process, the police get involved and we're all looking. And then a few days later, we still can't locate her. And in our hearts, we pretty much knew what had happened. But then you start to think too, she was really naive and sweet and nice to, she befriended so many homeless or unhoused, however you would like to say, people, and was always being very generous with people that might be dangerous in ways with their own things. And so maybe something happened to her too. And then, it was all over the news at some point, and you see those missing posters for people and your heart goes out to them, but you never think that it's going to be someone that you know and love. And then when you see it, it's just an out-of-body experience to see that it's your sister. And she, they eventually did come to the house, and, that's one of the most gut-wrenching, it's like burned into your body forever, that experience of having the chaplain and the police officer show up at the door knowing that you're going to get that news, and then just waiting for them to share it with you. It's excruciating. But through that, we just, it's like, what are you going to do? I went down into the bathroom and just collapsed on the floor, and she was gone. And from that point on, I had to make a conscious decision every day to put the pieces back together. And it's still a process, and it takes so much time and patience with yourself, and, steps backwards and steps forwards, and just always kind of being on top of checking yourself of, am I doing well right now, or am I letting things that have happened in the past affect my future, and just doing the checks and balances. And so, it's one of those things where I wouldn't wish it on anyone. And to anyone that's struggling, my heart is with you, and I'm so sorry, because it's, it's rough, but it's absolutely worth it to put everything that you have, every ounce of energy, every little mustard seed of hope into moving forward and living. So that's kind of the abridged version.
Yeah.
How old was she?
She
was in her early 20s.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, Sarah, I'll say this. We appreciate you being transparent with us and all of that. And I Thank you. I know that was incredibly difficult to talk about, and you know, again, we appreciate that transparency and things like that, and you know, our heart obviously goes out to you and your family and everything like that. But I also hope you recognize how strong you are to be in this position today and able to talk about it, and just know that, like, you know, I have no doubt that you are continuing to make your sister proud every single day, and just, you know, continuing to push forward every day, because the recovery journey is a forever process, right? And so again, you know, thank you for being so transparent with us, and